January 6th, a riot at the Capitol, and there was some violence at the front, but a lot of people had the doors opened for them by police. And since then, Democrats and establishment politicians have tried to use this to an extreme degree to, claim Donald Trump as an insurrectionist, a traitor. They're putting out articles claiming that the Trump conspiracy is still happening and that Trump and his cronies are still trying to steal the election or whatever. And now we have this story, which is actually pretty damning, in my opinion. Oh, but not for Trump and his inner circle. Actually, no, it's kind of exculpatory in a sense. The Daily Beast thinks they have a bombshell report. I'll tell you what the bombshell report is. In this story, they say Don Jr. and Fox stars begged Meadows get Trump to stop the Capitol riot. Liz Cheney revealed text messages from the president's son, Sean Hannity, and Laura Ingraham to Trump's chief of staff on January 6th. Now, the January 6th committee wants contempt charges for Mark Meadows, Trump's former chief of staff. And apparently, their bombshell is that a bunch of right-wing personalities were like, this is really bad. Please tell Trump to stop this. They are leaking people's text messages. Okay. So let's talk about what the real problem I have with these people would be. Or no, is. It's not that we're learning that there's a non-story here. The January 6th committee is trying to put people in jail, Steve Bannon and Mark Meadows, because they are hyper-polarized, tribal partisans, and this country is being gutted and torn to the ground. It is not relevant, in my opinion. I suppose you could say it is, that people are texting saying, it's a bad thing, we don't like it. What I do have a problem with is the scumbags in the establishment who are leaking private messages from people. So I tell you this, people... we promote Virtual Shield on Timcast IRL. This is not a promo spot. But you got to understand the importance of having Signal or a VPN, be it Virtual Shield or otherwise, because they can go straight to the phone companies and take every single text message you have ever sent. And they will. And they will leak it out for partisan reasons. And I'm disgusted by it. Now, a lot of people on the left are acting like January 6th was the apocalypse. It's bad. Yeah, I think it was bad. But this is not, this is your bombshell. Your bombshell is that Trump and his inner circle didn't want this to happen. Or I should say that Trump's inner circle didn't want it to happen. Here's the report from the Daily Beast. A bombshell dropped in Monday night's January 6th committee hearing when it was revealed that Donald Trump Jr., along with Fox News stars Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham, begged White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows to get the president to make a national address and halt the Capitol riot, which Trump did. Okay. He's got to condemn this ASAP. Trump Jr. texted Meadows. The Capitol Police tweet is not enough. I'm pushing it hard. I agree, Meadows responded. We need an Oval Office address. He has to leave now. It has gone too far and gotten out of hand. An aide to Donald Trump Jr. declined to comment on the newly disclosed exchange, one of several with Meadows that Rep. Liz Cheney, a member of the House Select Committee to investigate the January 6th riot, read aloud at the meeting. Donald Trump Jr. texted Meadows again and again, according to Cheney. How did Liz Cheney get reelected? What are y'all doing up there in Wyoming, man? And I'm not kidding. I mean, what the? Okay. She probably won't get reelected again, but these are, I believe the people on the January 6th committee embody evil incarnate. These are the elitist, scumbag, authoritarian, crackpot, despot types. They will bludgeon you over the head. They will take your private messages. They will publish them. They will lie. They will cheat. They will steal. And y'all in each and every one of those districts voted for these people. And now we're sitting back watching the worst of the worst. You know what's funny? They said Hillary Clinton embodied everything wrong with government, and Donald Trump embodied everything wrong with our culture. And you know what? Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I get it. Donald Trump, arrogant, blowhard, smack talking, body slamming, whatever. Not him, but he made that gesture when he was, mocking the journalists who got body slammed. But populist, not part of the inside, political beltway stuff. And so Trump really did want to help America, in my opinion, though he's far from perfect. Hillary Clinton was everything wrong with our government, right? She is this snooty, elitist, corporatist, neo-lib, blah, 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 establishment trash. The January 6th committee represents, if you were to take Congress, everything that's wrong with it, and then, boil it down to get a nice little Congress extract, just like the pure sludge and slime and grotesque scumbaggery that is Congress, you would get the January 6th committee. Exaggerating? Look, I'll put it this way, and then we'll read some more stuff here. We got this tweet from Jake Sherman. Jake Sherman is the founder of Punchbowl News, NBC and MSNBC. Let me tell you, these people in the January 6th committee are doing everything in their power to burn this country to the ground. They are literally just ripping it to shreds. And I think they are the worst possible human beings in government. Now, if you are one of these establishment type individuals, politically uninitiated, don't know what's going on with anything in this country, and just believe whatever you watch on CNN, you'd probably imagine or believe that these people are the good and noble, just people trying to get to the bottom of the insurrection. Sure. What they're really doing is gripping the fabric of this country and pulling and tearing as hard as they can. So there was an article that came out in the New York Times yesterday, and I talked about it on Timcast IRL. We talked about it. I talked about it on my main channel, that Charles M. Blow, writing for the New York Times, says we're edging closer to civil war. And I'll tell you why. It's not because of you or I. It's not because I talk about it, though that's what they would try to claim. No, it's because of the January 6th committee. Here's a tweet from Jake Sherman. Let me read this for you and break some stuff down. Jake says, last night, as we all know, the January 6th committee released texts that Meadows got on January 6th. I knew I had communicated with a ton of White House officials that day as I sat in the Capitol. This thread stuck out to me. And that's because they were my texts to Meadows saying, we're under, here's the article. One text he received said, we are under siege at the Capitol. Another quote, they have breached the Capitol. In a third, Mark, protesters are literally storming the Capitol, breaking windows, on door rushing in. Is Trump going to say something? There's an armed standoff at the House chamber door and another from someone, we are helpless. Now, here's the thing. That was just one tweet. Do something for us. We are under siege in the Capitol. There's an armed standoff at the House chamber door. We're all helpless. This article that Jake Sherman saw made it seem like it was different people. They are trying to burn this country to the ground. They, as in the establishment, crony, neo-lib, neocon, etc., whatever you want to call these pieces of human trash. One quote said, we're under siege. Another quote, they've breached the Capitol. A third, they're storming the Capitol, breaking windows. A fourth, there's a standoff for the... They break it up to make it seem like all of these texts flood in when it's, mostly just one guy tweeting all of these things. So look, hyperpolarization is here. It's getting worse. And I'm sick and tired of, we are, I guess, the populists. We are not the elitists. We're not part of the club. Yesterday, we had Siraj Hashmi on the club, and he was like, you're part of the club, Tim. You're part of the club. And I'm like, am I? Why is that? Is it because my business is successful? No, I don't think we're part of any club. I don't think so. I certainly think there's a big club, and I certainly think you can be wealthy and be not in that club. And that's what I believe, we have right now. Now, for a while, the club, as George Carlin put it, the same club they used to beat you over the head with, it's a big club and you ain't in it. It is a big club. But the club seems to have been shrinking a bit. For a while, it was like everybody who had some kind of power, they were in the club or at least, in the periphery of it. Now we are seeing the rise of people with power and means, resource and influence who are rising up outside of that club. So what does the club want to do? January 6th panel, the perfect example of the establishment taking the pure slime, the scum scraped off the walls of a 40-year smoker's house and just smashed into one congressional unit. This is the seat of power they're trying to retain. These are the neolibs, neocons, desperate to not lose their power and to exert whatever they can to destroy everyone who dare oppose them, using January 6th as their trick. Alex Jones, they've subpoenaed him. Alex Jones says he's gonna plead the fifth. He's not gonna comply. Why would you need any information from Alex Jones? Alex Jones on January 6th is seen in several videos saying, do not go to the Capitol. Don't do this. Don't go in. They want you to do it. Don't. Alex Jones was trying to prevent this stuff from happening. So why question him? Why get his information? Why subpoena him? Because they're trying to just finish off anyone who helped the Trump sphere of influence. Alex Jones, of course, was a major influential player. Now they're going one step beyond. The January 6th panel recommends contempt for Meadows, reveals panicked texts from Trump Jr., Fox hosts over Riot. The select committee investigating the January 6th Capitol riot recommended that the House hold former President Donald Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows, in contempt of Congress for defying a subpoena. The bipartisan, 9-member panel voted unanimously in support of sending to the House a report that includes a resolution recommending a vote to find Meadows in contempt. You see, this is why I will never vote for another Democrat ever again. Not to say that I'll ever vote for a Republican. I only voted for a few Democrats in my life, to be completely honest. But I look at all of the members of Congress and a good majority of the Republicans as evil. And I mean it. For the longest time, I didn't want to use the phrase evil to describe people because I often felt that a lot of people are just, they're fighting for what they believe in. And that's true for a lot of people. I think that's true for like a populist on the left and maybe a populist on the right. But then you have two different kinds of people. There is the banality of evil, and then there is the overtly evil. And the way we explained it on Timcast IRL is zombies and necromancers, or zombie lords, I don't know, whatever. It's a joke analogy, but the point is, Michael Malice often likes to tweet that how could you possibly be pessimistic when, you're the establishment people are this stupid or whatever. And, I can understand seeing how dumb many of these people are and then thinking like we're on track to success, a guaranteed victory. I do believe that individuality, individual rights, we are winning in a lot of ways and we are on track to win. Don't get me wrong. I really do. I think that what we're seeing here from January 6th is they're so desperate. They've brought together this panel to try and just muster up something. But I will say, you may laugh and mock the zombie for being stupid, but when you have 1,000 zombies marching towards you, that's a little scary, isn't it? So these people may be dumb. They may be the establishment shills on Twitter or whatever, and these personalities. They may be stupid. They may not have the ability to read or do research. Some of them maybe just maybe a little bit more than that, maybe midwits. But when there's so many of them, well, then it's very difficult. But here's the bigger issue. There may be zombies. And that to me is like your average politically active Democrat voter who watches CNN. They don't actually know what's going on in the world. They don't care to actually do research. They just stare at their idiot box. Not so much that they're watching TV anymore. And then they're told by the likes of Cuomo, who's now been fired, or Don Lemon, who's, being sued over sexually assaulting a guy. And then you have the likes of Brian Stelter, and people just eat that up. They just gobble it up. Maybe I should read, do some Google searching, maybe do a little background. And I can't blame them. Not everybody has the time to do it, but they believe it all. Those, my friends, are the zombie masses in the Matrix marching in lockstep behind the necromancers, which are the media personalities and the zombie lords. Let's call it. The January 6th committee is a bunch of zombie lords. These people are overtly evil. They know they're evil. They want power. They crave and lust for it. They are demonic. And I mean that figuratively, not literally. What I mean is, deep within their souls is a rot. Their hearts are blackened, withered husks, humanity drained long ago. They would beat you over the head. These are the worst of the worst. There's a lot more of them in Congress. There's a lot more of them in the federal government. Trump even surrounded himself with some of these people. But you have to think about, where are the good people? Where are the good people to challenge this, to be in politics? Yeah, honestly, I don't know. I think Rand Paul's a good dude. I always say this, not perfect people, but I think he's a good dude. There's very few people, I think, who are in government. I'll tell you this, most people don't want to do it. Because people even tweet at me or post in super chats like, Tim, why don't you run? Why don't you go? And I'm like, I ain't going anywhere near that swamp. It's just all a bunch of swamp sludge garbage everywhere. And that's the problem. Maybe we need good people to run. Maybe the reason we get these crackpot, awful, or outright evil people like Liz Cheney, the worst of the worst, pure evil scumbaggery. I cannot stress how much I despise these people. The reason we get it is because people aren't stepping up. All that is required for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. So maybe what needs to happen is the primaries are coming. Y'all need to run. We're hearing we've got more people running in the Republican primaries than we have in like a really long time or ever. Good, I guess. But, it's going to be really difficult. Primary out the establishment. You know what? And I've been a fan of, I was a fan of Dan Crenshaw early on, but I don't care. Dan Crenshaw should be primaried at this point. And it's not even so much about what you think about how he's voted. It's about confidence. There's a lot of people who are mad at the things he's supported. Apparently, he supported red flag laws. Now, I suppose he's claimed he didn't. I don't know. I don't track, Crenshaw's career or anything like that, to be completely honest. I don't live in his district. But I'm just saying, each and every one of these politicians, I don't care if they're new or old, y'all need to primary them. Just get the incumbents out, especially the Democrats. But I will take a populist wave in the primaries and then be happy with what comes in November. If we get a red wave or a red tsunami. I don't like the Republican Party. I don't like them at all. Liz Cheney embodies it. Saturday Night Live did a sketch where they were like, Republican or not? And they're like, it's literally Dick Cheney's daughter. And they're like, yeah, I don't know. Is she really a Republican? Yes. She is one of the last remnants of what is the neocon establishment. And you see how desperate they are to retain power. I had to listen to them screaming in my ears for years about how Donald Trump was going after his political opponents. But they literally do it. They're doing it right now. They'll do it again. They'll do it more. I'm just really, really sick of these people. I'm sick of these stories. I'm sick of the Daily Beast bombshell report. Bombshell report that they were trying to stop it and condemn it. Just, these people are just so insane and just awful. There's some good news for Steve Bannon, not great news, but the judge has basically gone a little bit down the road in terms of public disclosure on evidence. Steve Bannon's trying to use this against the establishment. His plan is basically, you know what? If you're going to come after me, try and lock me up, I want all of the evidence that you have publicly available so I can muster up my defense. Well, they said that the judge who's providing over the criminal contempt case for Bannon, there will be another one likely for Mark Meadows, basically said a protective order largely adopted the government's proposals for restricting the types of evidence from the case that could be shared publicly. A source close to Bannon noted the judge's ruling included some of the provisions Bannon's team had requested, so it's not a complete loss. But I'm not confident in where we go as a country, with hyperpolarization. I will say, though, the fear, the panic and the desperation among the January 6th committee, among many of these members of Congress says to me, wow, you know what? Maybe there's more cause for optimism than we often give credit for. This is an act of desperation. The FBI raid on James O'Keefe was an act of desperation. The January 6th committee is pure desperation. Everything they've done has been panic, fear, and desperation. And so watching evil squirm, sometimes, it's a good thing. I don't have, look, there are some people, political rivals, that I view are just being misguided or wrong. There are a lot of populist leftists who, unfortunately, will blindly just side with the establishment because that's what they're told to do. And that's unfortunate. And I view them as misguided. But there are certain people like, Adam Schiff and Liz Cheney that are, in my opinion, evil, like sociopathic. Maybe sociopath is a better word. It's like it's less biblical and easier to understand. So when I say evil, I mean they have no empathy. They have no compassion. They care only for themselves. They care not for this planet, not for the future of humanity. They care only to torture and beat and lie and cheat. Now, Adam Schiff may be, I think he may be one of the most evil people in the country. And what I mean by that is, we have serial killers, and they seem to be just mentally deficient. Like the true criminals, the true murderers and violent crime and serial killers, they're just, that's evil for sure. But it lacks guidance. It lacks strategy or tact. These are just impulse-driven, insane people. Now, Adam Schiff is cold, calculating, and psychotic. You can see it in his face. He lies, he cheats, he steals, he wants power. He's leaked private communications from American journalists. This is what we are witnessing right now with Congress. And the problem is, this is what you'll get with a state like California. This is why I believe that we are edging towards civil war. California is a failed state, not just because there's human crap all over the grounds and homeless crisis, But because the state is a supermajority of Democrats, and that's not going to change. Because there is no democratic process in California. It is a supermajority state. And so people like Schiff just are given power. That's it. The system is broken. You have despots in charge. And this guy goes to Washington and just starts smashing windows, figuratively destroying what this country is supposed to represent. So what happens? Well, when John Podesta said, according to the Boston Globe, that the West Coast should secede in the event that Donald Trump wins in 2024, how many people do you think are going to say good and good riddance? Because you'll get rid of people like Adam Schiff. California's a failed state. It's not going to change. Now in Wyoming, Liz Cheney's probably on the way out. I wake up reading this story and they're like, we want to arrest more people. We want to leak more messages. And I'm just like, they are gutting and destroying this country. And what we've learned from these messages is that it's not Trump. It's not Donald Trump Jr. It's not Steve Bannon. It's not Mark Meadows. In fact, these are the people who are apparently texting saying, please tell Trump to stop this. Tell him to make it stop. Tell him to put out a message. And what do they tell us instead? That Trump is staging an ongoing conspiracy to overthrow the U.S. I despise the establishment elite political class, Republican, Democrat alike. Primary, all of them, Democrat and Republican alike. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.